Well, what's going on, y'all? Thanks for tuning in today. I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you're watching this week. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I was initially planning on making this video a two-parter. I was going to kick things off today and then wrap things up next week. But I ultimately decided that I'm just going to make this one video. So we'll see how long it actually shakes out to be. But I hope you're here for it. I hope you're ready to unpack this conversation with me because there's a lot of stuff that I want to address, talk about, and read. There's a clip that I want to show us and a meme that I created a while back that I also want to show us. So, with all of that said, let's get ready and dive into this, huh? So, cue the intro. So, after an intro like that, I bet some of you are probably wondering, well, what is it that you want to talk about? Because I can't really tell from the title. It's a little bit vague, a little bit intriguing, but a little bit vague. And that's kind of the idea. I like to make it a little bit intriguing to kind of draw you in, but not too on the nose where you know exactly what I'm going to talk about, because then if you're not really interested in the topic, you won't click on the video. So, I don't know if you remember, a few weeks back, I did a video and the title of it was Link, 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 Communism. Well, that's part of what I want to talk about. I want to read the definition of communism, among other words as well. I want to read the definition of those. But what really stemmed the idea of this video was when New York City elected the self-proclaimed socialist Zoran Mamdani. Once that happened, this idea of this video kind of started to really brew in the background. And I started to try to think of what I wanted to talk about, what I wanted to address. So here we are. So I'm going to put this definition up on the screen and we'll just go through this together. Communism. Communism is a political and economic ideology aiming for a classless, stateless society based on common ownership of the means of production, eliminating private property. Rooted in Karl Marx's theories, it advocates for redistributing wealth based on from each according to his ability to each according to his needs. So I want to pause here first and just highlight a couple things. It says, aiming for a classless, stateless society based on common ownership of the means of production. So no more high class or upper class, lower class, middle class, none of that. It's trying to eliminate that. And then stateless as well. So think of the United States, that would kind of go away because there's going to be no more each individual state. It's more just everybody all together, a big pool of it all together. Common ownership of the means of production. That might sound great in theory, but just bear with me because I'm going to unpack this. But I also want to read the definition of socialism because, like I said, Zoran Mamdani, who was just elected in New York City, he's a self-proclaimed socialist. And the socialists and communists, they're very, very close as far as the ideology. So just check this out as well. Socialism. Socialism is an economic and political system based on public or collective ownership of the means of production and the distribution of goods, aiming for an egalitarian society. It advocates for managing property and resources through the state or workers' councils rather than private individuals, often focusing on wealth redistribution. So it's very, very similar to communism, except communism is trying to eliminate classless and stateless. Whereas here, it's just the collective ownership. They're both collective ownership, but you still have through the state or workers' councils. So they're still like states. So you're not exactly just eliminating all of that, but they're very, very, very similar. And I think that best explains this through a clip that I'm going to show us in a little bit, but just bear with me. I do want to read because it mentions in here egalitarian society. So some of you are probably wondering, what is egalitarian? Well, I'm glad you asked. So egalitarian describes the belief that all people are inherently equal, deserving of equal rights, opportunities, and treatment in society. It is used as both an adjective and a noun to describe a person who advocates for these principles. It promotes eliminating social hierarchies and ensuring equal economic or political status. So if you think about that, egalitarian, equal economic or political status. Okay, so if everybody's equal and deserving of equal rights and opportunities, in our society now, as it is, because we're in a capitalist society, how are people not equal and inherently deserving of equal rights and opportunities? Everybody already has the access to that stuff. Now, some of you watching are probably going to be like, no, what about the people who live in the projects, the people who are poor? They don't have access to all of those stuff, but you can get there. You have stories after stories of people who have been homeless. Steve Harvey is one of them, right? He lived in his car. He was homeless. He lost everything twice. And yet look at him. He's made it. He's on TV. He's famous. He's got money again. There's other people that have been down in the dumps, have been poor, and they've made it. How did they do it? And how are some people not able to do it? It's a mindset. What are you limiting yourself? So we all have access to the same thing. It's how hard do you want to work? And in these societies, socialism, communism, that egalitarian kind of mindset, it's more like everybody gets to own everything and nobody really has to work hard because it's just everything's just given to you. So then you get lazy because you feel that, well, I'm I'm entitled to that. That's mine. That's mine too. Well, it can't be yours if it's a collective ownership. So think about that. Just think about that. I'm going to read to you the definition of capitalism now. It says capitalism is an economic system based on the private ownership of the means of production, factories, mines, businesses, and their operation for profit. Key characteristics include voluntary exchange, competitive markets, supply and demand, price setting, and minimal government intervention, with wealth reinvested into assets to increase productivity. This is the kind of society that we're living in, is a capitalist society. As a country, this is what we're after. And so the fact that the people in New York City elected somebody that is a self-proclaimed socialist that believes that, well, you should redistribute the wealth and everybody, is the same playing field and all of that stuff. Well, then that means that there should be no sort of boss in front of you. How are you going to determine who is going to redistribute the wealth? Somebody has to be in charge. Somebody has to be in charge to make those decisions, even in a socialist society. Otherwise, it's going to be nothing but chaos. And what I think is going to help really illustrate this point or drive this point home, what I'm trying to say, is a clip that I have from Nick Shirley on his podcast. He was talking to Yeonmi Park. She is a North Korean defector. And she was talking about that because North Korea is a society like that, socialist, communist society. So she's experienced that. She lived there, she defected from there, and now she's in America and she's an American citizen. But she was talking about this, about how socialism, communism, just can never work. So watch this clip. Listen to what she says. Listen with an open mind and an open heart. And I'm going to come back and unpack more. So check this out.
And now here in the United States, you're seeing kind of this rise of communism, of socialism.
Yeah.
Here in New York City, they just elected a Democrat socialist who himself has said, well, if landlords don't take care of people's rents, we're going to go in, or their apartments, we're going to go in and we're going to take over that apartment.
Yeah.
You lived in a socialist society. What would be your warning to people who advocate for socialism or who advocate for the Revolutionary Communist Party here inside the United States? What's your warning to those people who think, oh, maybe socialism would be good?
Yeah, I think it's, I had to keep thinking about it. I mean, I voted this election this time, and obviously Mandani still won. And I can't believe my fate that somehow I'm keep running towards like socialist government systems, right, whenever I escape. The young people really don't know how tyranny comes to them in America. They somehow tyranny comes with like a dark suit and guns and gonna come and tell them, I'm gonna enslave you. Usually, tyranny comes in the name of compassion and equality. They come and make these sweet, sweet promises of paradise. Like that's how North Korean regime began. The Kim Il-sung came to my grandmothers and said, look at the capitalists, they are so rich, and look at the peasants. Their children can't even get educated, and they cannot even be treated in the hospital. How about I create a society where everybody gets a free education, free healthcare, free housing, free food. And then we get rid of inequality because this is evil. And why would you not want that? It sounds so fantastic, right? Everybody live life with dignity. Nobody suffers from poor health. And people wanted that. So my grandmothers gave up their private property. They gave up freedom of speech. They gave up freedom of movement. They gave up all their rights to live in this paradise. But we know that when government took all their rights away from people, they did not create a paradise. They created the biggest concentration camp in human history. The whole country became a concentration camp. Nobody is allowed to leave North Korea. Nobody allowed to enter even right now, right? So Mandani exactly promised same thing that Kim Il-sung promised to my grandmother generation, saying it's evil, they are billionaires, and there are people who are poor, can't even afford the rent. Why don't I come in and make all like free for you guys? And nothing is free in the world, nothing is free. And this entitlement generation, these young people that I see in New York, who are so unbelievably entitled, they somehow think they deserve free buses. And like, why do you think you need to get that for free? So we have a huge issue because American education system have failed teaching these people about tyranny.
I want to sit here for a little bit and just think about what Yeonmi Park said in that clip. She said, young people think that tyranny would show up like wearing all black, carrying guns, saying, I'm going to enslave you. And that's just not true. She said, they usually come, they're dressed like all nice and pretty, making all of these, nice promises, these beautiful, sweet, sweet promises, in usually the name of compassion and equality. Now, I read to you the definition of communism and socialism. Isn't that true? Isn't that true? We have to make sure that we understand what's going on here. She says that so many people want this free stuff, like her grandparents and her great grandparents. That's what happened when the government came in to them. They made all of these sweet, sweet promises to them, promising all of this paradise. And so they gave up their private property, they gave up their freedom of speech, and now look at the state of North Korea. Nobody can leave and nobody can come in. It's like a big concentration camp. And you want to try to apply that here in the US? You got New York City, a self-proclaimed socialist, now mayor. And some people that will try to advocate for that is just like, well, we just haven't done it right. North Korea didn't do it right. We can do it right. Well, what's the definition of insanity? Is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. I truly don't want to try that here. I don't want to try it here and then find out, oh, it doesn't work. No, duh. And then we're in the same predicament as North Korea. No. I don't want to find out. I don't want to go down that road. And neither should you. You shouldn't want to go down that road. We have to be more mindful and cognizant of who we elect, who we put in office, look at their promises, making sure that they're not, as the scriptures say, wolves in sheep's clothing, that they're pretending that they're all nice and pretty and innocent, and then they get into office and they completely flip the script. They completely flip the script and they start implementing their own agenda. You got to look past the stuff that they're trying to say to just win your vote. Are they actually being genuine or not? Look, you got to honestly analyze and think about who you're voting for and the choices that you're making, because it impacts everybody. Now, the other thing I want to touch on is this isolationist versus interventionist. And I'm going to read the definitions of both. So here we go. Isolationist is a person or policy advocating for a nation to abstain from foreign entanglements, military alliances, and international political or economic relations. This stance focuses strictly on domestic interests, often aiming to avoid foreign wars and external commitments. Also, this is known as America only, this isolationist point of view. And then interventionist. An interventionist is a person, government, or entity that advocates for or practices direct involvement in the affairs of others, typically in politics, economics, or personal crisis. They act to influence, change, or improve a situation, often through, but not limited to, coercive measures. Now, this would probably be more like America First. We are trying to focus on us, but when things get real, we are not afraid to get involved. Now, this isolationist mentality, I'm going to put the picture of the meme that I was talking about up on the screen. This is what I feel the isolationists are. It sounds all nice. It sounds all nice to abstain from foreign entanglements, to focus strictly on domestic interests. But you dig your head in the sand like an ostrich, pretending like there's no foreign conflicts, no foreign stuff going on, that other countries are not misbehaving, that Iran is not shouting, "Death to America, death to Israel," and if they had the means to do so, that they would strap a nuke, if we let them get a nuke, and send one all over to us, all the way over here to the US. Now, some people are like, well, they've been shouting that for a while and nothing has happened. You want to wait and find out? You want to wait until they actually strap a nuke, they get a nuke? You want us to just not be involved, to stick our head in the sand, and we start living our life, going about, and then all of a sudden, boom, here comes a nuke. By then it's too late. By then it's too late. Because if you're thinking, well, that's just not going to happen, that is naive. That is naive for you to think that. That there's other countries out there that don't share our same values. And like all of these different influencers, when this first Operation Epic Fury first kicked off, the people that supported Trump, they started to come out and say, oh, we shouldn't be doing this. We shouldn't be doing this. I started crying. This is not America first. This is not America first. Actually, it is. If you really think about it, it is. It's not America only, because Trump never promised that. He said that he was going to put America first, that he was going to, keep us in mind. And how is that not America first when you're trying to go after a country that is shouting death to America? Not the Iranian people, don't get me wrong, not the Iranian people, but the Iranian regime shouting death to America? How are you not going to put an end to that if you don't think that they would actually act on it if they could? If they could. That is being extremely naive if you think that they're just shouting a bunch of words that they don't mean what they're saying. And I'm going to put up a screenshot of a comment that I left under Brett Cooper's video when this stuff kind of first kicked off, this operation first kicked off. You had people like Megyn Kelly and Brett Cooper and a lot of these other people that were like crying, oh my gosh, Trump is like, abandoned what he initially promised. He said no forever wars. Yeah, he said no forever wars. He didn't say no wars. He didn't say no conflicts. He didn't say he wasn't going to get involved if necessary. He said peace through strength. So first you're going to try to go after peace. You're going to try to make deals. But when all else fails, you gotta show that strength. Present that strength behind you. And how do you do that? Militarily, if needed. So that is not Trump going back on his promises. That is Trump being Trump. He actually is doing what he said. And those of us that really truly understand where he's coming from understand that. But the comment that I put, I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to touch on certain things. But I said, America is the number one superpower. And we did not become the number one superpower by ignoring other countries, what's going on in the rest of the world. Well, I get the sentiment of, yeah, being involved in a foreign conflict will raise prices, gas prices, housing costs, all of this stuff. I understand that. And while I can empathize with that, at the same time, we have to be cognizant and aware that we did not become the number one superpower by ignoring other countries shouting death to America. One, it's important that we have allies. It is important that we have people that will work with us, help us, work together with us. That is important. People that have the shared same interests, to partner with them. But if we don't get involved or make sure that we keep other countries in check, then we cease to become the number one superpower. And when we cease to become the number one superpower, you think that there's not going to be another country that's going to step in and fill that vacuum, fill that void? Then you're very, very, very naive, because another country will step in and fill that void. And I don't really want another country to step in and fill that void, because these other countries, they're not really Christian countries. They're not based or founded on Judeo-Christian values. You want China to step into that vacuum? You want Russia to step into that vacuum? You want Iran to step into that vacuum? No. No, thank you. Has America done everything perfectly in its history? No. There's things that America could have done better. Foreign conflicts that kind of, dragged on and dragged on. Yeah, no forever wars. I don't want forever wars. I don't like people dying, obviously, especially our servicemen and women. I don't like people dying. But is it a necessary part of conflicts? Do the people in the military that enlist understand that that is probably a byproduct of enlisting, that could actually happen, that you could actually get deployed and you might actually get killed? That is part of when you sign up, that you know that that's what you're kind of enlisting for, that could possibly happen. So we got to understand this, that to stay the number one superpower, we have to get involved when necessary. We got to pick our battles wisely, choose when to get involved, make sure that we have alliances. That is America first. That is putting America first. American interests first. That is not America only. America only, we cannot survive in a situation like that. And if you think that we can, you're completely and utterly naive. And you got to do some soul searching and some reflection on what is actually true and right. So I hope that you understood where I'm coming from. You understood my heart in all of this, why I think this is important to talk about and address, because so many people, I think, are misled. They're misled on the communism and socialism, thinking that that is great, getting promised free stuff, thinking that there's no repercussions for that, and that people are going to be honest and everything. Is just not true. It just does not work. Look at other countries that run on that system, and it just does not work. Capitalism is the best way to go, the best system to have in place. And if you're not careful, you can lose what you have. And once you lose it, getting it back is going to be impossible. Because once you give up your rights, that's it. That's it. And then this, again, America only versus America first. America first does not mean we don't get involved. And America only means that you stick your head in the sand like an ostrich and you just pretend, live your life over here and pretend like nothing else is going on overseas and you don't get involved overseas. So which camp do you fall into? Which system do you like? Do you like capitalism? Do you like socialism? Do you like communism? And which viewpoint do you share? America first or America only? I'd like to hear your thoughts. Comment below and let me know what you think. Thank you for watching and for tuning in this week. Thank you for just being here and supporting the channel. So grateful for each and every one of you that are subscribed. So you guys have a great rest of your week. Stay safe out there. And as always, God bless.